Hello everyone, today we will be building my new PC, which is going to be based on the new Intel chipset, the X99, which supports DDR4 memory. So let's go over the parts I'm going to be using. For the case, we're going to be using this Corsair C70, an Intel i7-5820K, 16 gigabytes of DDR4 memory from G.Skill, the Asus X99-A motherboard, and to help keep the temperatures down, I'll be using this Corsair H100i liquid cooler. We'll also be installing the Samsung Pro 128GB solid state drive, and for a graphics card we'll be using the Gigabyte GTX 980 G1. We'll be using the 750 watt Corsair power supply. And to improve the quality of the audio, we'll be using the sound card, the Sound Blaster Z. Let's take a look at our motherboard, which has support up to 64 gigabytes of memory, 3-way SLI, so you can get up to 3 graphics cards in this. Here's our CPU. So let's begin with the process. Alright, so let's begin installing the processor. One of the first things you notice is that this socket has 2 latches that hold the processor instead of the usual one. Once you got them on latch, just lift up the cover very carefully. Now you can see all the pins. Now let's grab the processor. Just align it very carefully and drop it into its place. Now let's put the cover back down and attach the latches. Once the latches are in place, we can take off this protective cover. Next up, let's install the memory. They have to be installed in a specific order, so we'll be installing them in the gray sockets only. There's the first one. Let's go to the next one. Wait a minute, looks like this is on backwards. There you go. And the last one. And here's our motherboard with the CPU and RAM. Next up, we'll be installing the adapter for the water cooler. It's really easy to install. You don't need a backplate for this socket. You just need to install these couple screws. Now when we're ready to install the heatsink, we'll just place it in this and add the additional screws on top, and that's all you'll need. Alright, as you can see here, I got the case. I've already installed 2 fans while there was still some room, and we're going to put the power supply up next. This is pretty straightforward. Just place it in the right spot and screw on the screws. I only need 4 screws for this one. Let's finish tightening them up. Next up, I'll be installing in the disk drive, even though it may be getting a very little use. Just slide it in there, tighten it up with these 2 screws, and we're done. Next step, let's place the I/O shield in the case. Just gotta push it in there until you hear it click. That's all you need to do. Now we're moving on to the motherboard. We're placing it in the case. Make sure it's aligned with the I/O shield in the case. Once you have it in place, start by screwing on the screws. This motherboard needs 8 screws. Next, we'll be working on our water cooler. We'll start by installing these fans on the radiator. You can see here our fans are already installed. Next up, we'll be placing the radiator in the case. Just slide it in there carefully. It'll be going on the top side of our case. Just slide it in there carefully. Then line it up and place your screws. Looks like the first one's gone in. Once you got that done, let's install the heatsink. Start off by placing a little thermal paste on the CPU. Then attach the adapter. It's magnetic, so you don't need to hold it in place. Very convenient. Then just line it up and place the screws. And just make sure to tie them on evenly. Now we're moving on to another very important component, the graphics card. Again, I'm putting in the GTX 980 from Gigabyte. At the same time, we'll also be installing this sound card. But let's begin with the graphics card. Just line it up with the PCI Express slot, and you should hear a click once it's in place. Then just place the screws on top again. And we're finished for the graphics card for now. Again, line it up and just press it down until you hear a click. Then place the screw on. I'm gonna have to hold the sound card while I screw it on. It's kind of wobbling around. We'll be installing the hard drives next. Here's the SSD. You'll need to screw it on into this case to keep it in place. The other mechanical hard drives, they just need to slide on there. And they're ready to go. There's the first one. That's it. Very easy. Alright, now I'm working on all the cables. This could be quite a hassle. The first cable is the 24-pin power cable. Then the power cable to the processor. Then we're going to connect the front panel cables, which are the power, reset, and front LED lights, or activity lights. There they are, all plugged in. Now let's plug in the audio cable. And the USB 3.0. The next cable we're going to install are the Sata cables, which will be going to the hard drives and disk drive. These other cables are for the graphics card. The GTX 980 uses two 8-pin cables. Let's turn the case around so we can work from the back. Let's plug in the SATA cables to the hard drives. Now this is a lot better. I got all the cables hooked up, kind of organized them a little bit. Looks a lot cleaner. I really like how the two RAM sticks look on each side of the CPU. Now that everything's installed, it's a moment or two, time to turn it on, see if it works. Alright, let's begin with our first try. Alright, let's turn it on. Okay, there it goes. I really like how this thing looks all lit up. Huh, looks like it turned off. I'm not sure what really happened. Oh, there it goes again. We're good. We're good to go. Looks like it's loading now. All the lights in this case look really nice. Alright, now we're in the BIOS. Looks like the computer is detecting everything. We got our 4 sticks of memory. Seems like it's detecting our fans too. Memory is good. Temperature 24 degrees. Now I took the cover off so you can get a better look at the inside. There's our liquid cooler. Fans. All the lights are working great. Graphics card and soundbar. This thing looks great. Looks like it's still loading. Let's wait a little longer. We're in the final step, installing Windows 8. After this, we can start testing the system with some gains and benchmarks. The rest of the video I recorded a week after I installed everything, so everything is running great. I've also performed a 5-strike benchmark, and you can see the results here. I scored 13,286 while using the 980 graphics card and the i7-5820K processor. Here's a few more details. Here you can see my graphics stat score and my physics score. Now it's time to test this system with the game. And we'll be playing Crysis 3. In my opinion, the i7-5820K and the DDR4 memory aren't really useful for video games. However, if you use Photoshop or other video editing programs, then they really come in handy. And since I use both those programs, that's what really pushed me to get these two components. In the corner up here, you can see the frames, memory usage, and the temperature. Oh, and one more thing, I'll be playing on a 1440p monitor. Alright, now we're in the game. Let's check out the graphics settings real quick. And as you can see, I'm using the 1440p resolution with everything set on max. Except shadows, those will be set on medium. Alright, now our game's loading. I just want to apologize beforehand. I have no one here to help me hold the camera, so I'll be holding the camera with one hand and the 360 controller with the other. So I'm sorry if the camera gets a little shaky or not in focus. There's our system again. Everything seems to be working perfectly still. Alright, now we're in the game. There's our frames. Look like they're in the 50s. And our temperature is in the 50s too. Now between the difference between the resolution 1080p and 1440p, I must say in 1440p everything looks way clearer, to the point where using any anti-aliasing isn't really necessary at all. Which just makes me think how a game will look at 4K. Must look incredible. Alright, now we're moving outside this building in the game. I really want to see how the system does out there. Man, everything looks incredible. Super clear in 1440p. And our frames are around 60, right below 60. Everything looks so clear. There's a big difference between 1080p and 1440p. With this setup, you'll be able to play any game at 1440p with settings really close to max very easily. If you wanted to do some 4K gaming, you might need to add an additional 980 graphics card or maybe two 970s to get any decent frames. Well, this is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed the whole process of building this system and the results I got. If you have any questions, leave them down at the comments section. And if you liked the video, please give me a like. Thanks very much, guys.